Shah Jehan, that's her name. That's one of the girls that I worked with. She's, the focal point of the entire group. And on the right and left, you have these pieces of fabric which I found in the storeroom at the center. And it had been kind of discarded, but then I found it very interesting because it dates back to 2002 when the women were being trained to work on the machine. And the credit for that goes entirely to Monica Wahi and Zaid Ahmed Sheikh, because they had set up the collective and they were training the women to sort of start earning a living again because most of their husbands had been killed.
Mahakali versus Megacity. Parallel texts and a collision. Shahrukh Alam. Friday, May 6, 2005. Moral grounds and slum grounds. I have not written in some time. The reason is the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. They have gone on a slum demolition spree. And on my part, I am realizing that a home, however rickety its physical structure, is still a rather convenient thing to have.
Well, as I said, the project had very many sub-projects that were embedded in it. And this was one that came towards the end of the entire, phase of the field work, active field work. And the Drishti Media Collective, which was, I don't know if they're still there, but they were in Ahmedabad at that time.
Okay.
And I just felt that it would be really interesting if the public could be the artist, because since it's a public artwork, so we got the girls to apply for it. And by then they were very articulate, they were very confident. So they did very well at the interviews. And because these were like extended sessions of discussions and orientation and so on, and they were very actively involved, they enjoyed it a lot, and I think that got across to the jury.
Okay.
So they got the fellowship. It was not much, but then it was still something of a triumph actually, after that extended period of like 3 to 4 years through which I had been working. And so we decided to do a play which would be traveled from Basti to Basti, and to other places, wherever we were invited. And they were supposed to perform this in these bastis and mohallas around Patwa where they lived. But there was a problem because their mothers were not very happy with the idea, and a lot of them backed off. So finally we did it in the form of like narrative scrolls, so they would kind of, we would hang them up, roll them up, take them to places, then open it out, hang it, and then Tahera or Rabia. These were the two who were actually allowed to go out there and speak, So they would kind of talk about, explain the content, and then the inhabitants of that little colony would kind of come out, gather around. And they are interested because here's something that's colorful, the children want to, are curious. So it has the capacity to actually gather a crowd, which it would not have if one just went in and started saying something. You see, that is the power of art, basically, you see. Portfolios are, of course, work from the workshops. So some of the exercises, the color exercises that we did, exercises in drawing, observation. So that's basically what it is. And then there's a lot of photographic documentation of the different kinds of workshops which happened. And it's important to keep it here because, people are able to see behind these images as well. What is it that led up to them? How did they develop this particular kind of spatial sense or this particular kind of color palette, for instance,